Good afternoon, friends. Today we're going to be covering why your energy is drained. We're going to be doing a live dive into all of the reasons why empaths, healers, intuitives of all sorts, light workers, sensitive souls, generous givers, maybe even over givers. If you put yourself into any of those categories, you're in the exact right place. And if you are feeling like your energy has just been drained either, recently or over a period of time, we are going to be talking about why that is. And if you've been looking back on your life and being like, I don't know, at the end of the year, I always do this thing where I like to look back on not just the previous year, but like the progression of my life and just to sort of like get the long range view and then apply that to the coming year and what kind of visioning I want to do for my life in the coming years. So, this is kind of one of those moments where I'm going to invite you to really take a look at the progression of your life. And if you can remember back to a time where you really kind of had more pizzazz, you had more energy, you had more inspiration, you didn't feel so burdened, you maybe, felt lighter. Um, that's super normal. A lot of people are feeling really heavy after this whole pandemic experience, but really it may be something deeper than that. And one of the things that the pandemic has actually given us is this um, pause. It's given us the space to really take a look at what we're doing. Instead of just going full steam ahead all the time, it's made us slow down. I think this is why therapist office are so overbooked right now, because there's just such a deeper inner view of where we are on an individual basis and where we want to be and how do we get from where we are to where we want to be. So if you're here, go ahead and put a comment in the comments. And if you have questions during the session or any kind of inspirations or aha moments, go ahead and pop those in. I'm very interested in your experience. Also, if you're watching the replay, go ahead and pop them in anyway. I still look at those comments and I respond to them. So, and if you have questions, obviously, you've heard me say a million times, I love questions. So please add your questions. So we are going to be looking at what happened. Where did my enthusiasm for life go? And especially for empaths and light workers, what those main pitfalls are, and the one big, huge energy drain that's at the root of pretty much all of them. In all of the years that I've been doing this work, it's been about 9 years full time at this point. Before that, I was doing, littler bits while I was living other aspects of my life, raising kids and such. Um, so with all of that experience and working really closely with clients over this time, and in particular, working with people who consider themselves healers, givers, empaths, you know, light workers. Those people have a specific attraction to certain things that are very draining energetically. And typically, we have come into this life with a whole set of unique experiences that are just begging to be cleared. So we're going to be taking a look at all of that, how those things coincide, and how to get on the other side of it. All right. So My name is Jenny Jo Allen. I've been a clairvoyant healer for many, many years now. I've been working at this full time for the past 9 years. I've been a Reiki master for 21 years. And I'm also a medical intuitive. I channel light language and do light language art with messages. And I am a teacher. I teach the Akashic Records, I teach Reiki. And also, I am a crystal fan. Where that way. All those crystals are my friends, and I have many others as well. I love doing crystal divination, which is a lot like tarot, except with crystals. And I love sharing that magic as well. So, today we're going to be covering the one huge energy drain that clouds your vision, that creates confusion, that fucks with your prosperity, and keeps you anxious and suspicious, and makes you hide your gifts. Totally unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And we do that, we hide our gifts as light workers in ways that we hide from ourselves that we're hiding them. And the way that we do that is we make excuses. We tell ourselves that we have reasons we haven't, put ourselves out there. We have reasons oh, I have to get business cards made. Oh, I have to get a website. Oh, I have to. I don't have enough experience. I don't have enough blah, 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 blah. Okay. At a certain point, those are just excuses. They don't work anymore. Hiding your light is not going to get you what you want, which is to be appreciated, to be for your sharing, for your giving. If you are tired of giving freely and not being appreciated for all of your gifts, there is probably a really big reason for that. One of the biggest pitfalls for, it's not the big one, but one of the biggest pitfalls for empaths and givers and healers and light workers is the healer narcissist relationship. And I have discovered that it's quite insidious. I've worked with a lot of clients that are or have been involved in narcissistic relationships, either with their parent, with their partner. And there are some really interesting things that can happen, interesting not in a good way, that can happen when you're in that type of a relationship. Sometimes we're born into that type of relationship because it's our parent that is on the narcissism spectrum. And those kinds of wounds are really quite pervasive. They're deep. And it takes some time to unwind the belief systems that are wrapped around that kind of training in childhood. If you got into a narcissistic relationship later in life, then that can also be really damaging, but it is often a bit easier to untangle from. I won't say that it's easy. Been there, done that, and it's not easy, but it is possible. And I can tell you for sure there is life on the other side, happy life, relaxed, like safe, like those feelings of being safe, those feelings of, not being under constant anxiety, the feelings of not having to walk on eggshells all the time, the feelings of, being free to make whatever decisions you want, the feelings of being able to shine your light fully and not have that light usurped or turned around on you, and also not feeling guilty, not feeling ashamed. There are a lot of feelings that come up, and we start to really take those in and take those on. And that narcissist healer relationship can be quite toxic to your joy, your inspiration, your pizzazz. and all of the things that the narcissist fell in love with then start to disappear. And not only are you feeling less energy, your energy's drained and you're exhausted and there's nothing that you can do that's right anymore. And, you get blamed for everything, but also you yourself feel like shit. So all of that is just a total shit show. But the problem is that the healer narcissist relationship, it's like putting a frog in a pot of water and then turning the heat up. You don't realize what's happening until you're so deep into it that you can't see the forest for the trees. All you know is that you feel like crap, you hate yourself, you hate your life, and there's no way out. And you have no friends. Let's put that on top of it. Totally isolated. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If that sounds familiar to you, really take a good look at the relationships that you're in your life, whether it's a work relationship, some kind of a partnership, either you know, a love partnership or a housing partnership. Look at those places in your life if those are symptoms that you're having right now. Um, okay, so the thing is that untangling a whole lifetime of experiences to get down to the real root of all the exhaustion, overwhelm, and the current stresses in your life is quite a trip. It is definitely a trip. Is not super quick. I can't wave my magic wand and make it all go away because you've wrapped beliefs around these things that have, built up over years in your life. But it's so worth it to untangle that stuff because the freedom and the remembrance of who you are, even if you have been in, a narcissistic relationship with a parent for your whole lifetime, we can still get underneath that 2 times before. And that's a whole huge part of the work that I do, is that we look at what's underneath just this lifetime to find where the pain is coming through this lifetime, where the trauma is, where the upsets are, where the blockages are, and also where the joy is, because that is such a huge part. You have to have a really strong foundation of unconditional love and a deep sense of belonging and connection right here in this body right now in order to feel truly safe. And without that, there is no foundation. You have to have a foundation in order to really feel confident and safe enough to open up and shine your light. So the one huge energy drain, the one massive root that always seems to be underneath whatever is going on in our lifetime, in our life at this time, over and over and over again, it points to hidden trauma. And that's either hidden in this lifetime with buried memories, stuff like that, hidden ancestral, genetically inherited, DNA based trauma, upsets. Persecution is a big one, big one for light workers. Punishment, fear of punishment, huge. Fear of being found out. Yeah. Need to hide, that need to hide. Ancestral and also past life. So that's it. That's the root of it right there. It's that deep set trauma that's hidden from us, but pops up in this life and brings us all kinds of experiences. So, my personal story about that, I was born into a super beautiful family, like a really, really nice family. And I was raised to not be afraid. to be trusting. And sometimes that was not awesome. Sometimes things happened that were not great. But for the most part, it was a really beautiful way to be raised, and I'm so grateful. Um, and I can remember being a small child and passing by signs that said psychic reader, palm reader, palms and cards, something like that on the side of the road, and just having all these feelings, not having any idea. I was just a little kid, but I remember having these feelings of like deep longing and also, oh, like scary. That's scary. There's something to be afraid of there. Also, if you've heard me talk before, I grew up with my mother saying to me over and over again, she would say something like, "What are you, psychic?" And it was always this feeling of like, it's a little bit joking, it's a little bit like, careful there. Little bit of, okay, so here's what the point that I'm getting to is that there were both things going on for me as a child that I vividly remember. One of them was totally past life trauma related, where I would see something that said psychic and this deep fear of being found out or discovered, or, like this deep, just like no basis in this lifetime for what that fear was rose to the surface. And then on my, ancestrally, my mother having that ancestral need to like, ooh, let's damp that down a little bit. Let's keep that, just don't get too out there with that. We need to like, keep that under wraps. Be safe. Be safe. As if being psychic is not safe. And truthfully, for the past several thousand years, it hasn't been safe. Not safe, not at all. But now, things are different. We do have an opportunity to be safe and shine our brightest light. The problem comes when we have those deeper roots of persecution, being found out, needing to hide, to protect ourselves, and not only ourselves, but our family members, because they would be persecuted as well. All those deep, deep fears create a vibrational match to, guess what? The persecution, right? Like energy attracts like energy. If you're afraid of persecution, it sends out a vibrational message that draws that to you. So, how do you cure that fear, that hidden fear, that genetic DNA based fear, that past life fear from real experiences that happened? How do you shift that so that you're not attracting that energy to you? Yeah, that's the big question, right? A lot of us have done a lot of work on that stuff. And so if you're still struggling with being visible, with feeling ashamed of the gifts that you have in one way or another, like, ooh, yeah, I can't really share that. That's too weird. That's shame. Let's just call it out and say what it is. Let's just give it a name because that's real. That's shame. And that doesn't come from you. You aren't ashamed of your brilliance. You aren't ashamed of your incredible gifts, your light, your soul self. How could you be? That's not you. That was put on you. That was beaten into you. It was tortured into you. Somehow that was attached to you, that shame, that fear. It's not really you. So when we uncover what that is in the past and release the vibrational attachment to it, to the fear, to the shame, to the persecution, when we release the attachment to it or of it, and then also align the neural pathways in the brain that respond and establish beliefs and and establish tracks of neuro pathways that run in the background and come through our voice. It comes through our body language. It comes through, our willingness to step out into our own limelight. Unwinding those trappings in the brain are a big part of what needs to happen. You have to reroute your neuropathways to support the healing, and that's mostly what takes time. Doing the healing energy work is pretty fast. It's rewriting those belief systems and the vibrational alignments and the neural pathways that really takes a bit of time. So, the one big root, hidden trauma from your three pasts. This life shows you what is, what happened in the past, and it comes up. Maybe it's a different story, it's a slightly different experience, but it has the same feelings, the same grief, the same persecution, the same, oh, they stole my idea. That all that stuff, that's comes from your hidden past. So when we clean that up, then yay, you get to be free. When I had my Inquisition experience, my modern day Inquisition experience when I was in my 20s, I finally decided, after I'd been in college for a couple of years, few years, I finally decided that that was my soul path, my soul calling was to be a psychic. And so I went to psychic school, and during that experience, I was whisked away into a room and sat in a single chair facing 5 chairs. And the third year students that were just about to graduate from this school were performing this psychic cleansing on me. And it was all orchestrated by the pastor or the minister or whatever of the school, because it was also a church. And yeah, and anyway, he attached this giant energy cord to me after I complied, after he shot all these accusations at me and didn't let me speak and use my voice to defend myself or anything. And part of my hidden trauma was being in those old inquisitions, like being accused of things that were completely out to lunch, and there was no proof for it, and wrongly accused of stuff, and having nobody stand up for me. Nobody stood up for me. Those 5 third-year students didn't stand up for me. They just let it happen. They participated even. It was truly a modern day Inquisition. Everybody was afraid of this one powerful man. So, that happened, and yes, it was a super traumatic thing. It totally shut me down. It shut me down for so many years. 10, more than 10 years. More than 10 years. And then even after that, I still didn't have it resolved. I took Reiki training and I was super into it. I was so excited about it. And then I couldn't do my work because I still had that needed to be cleared. And yeah, it happened in this lifetime, but really it was clearing all of the past that needed to happen. I had to unhook from all that hidden trauma in order to be free in this lifetime. So the one big energy drain that causes all the crazy shenanigans in this life that you're like, oh my God, that makes me exhausted. That person is toxic, blah, blah, blah. Everything that leads to blame or shame or guilt or fear is all rooted in hidden trauma. It's all rooted in hidden trauma. Pretty much guarantee it. You can prove me wrong, and that's great. In fact, If you can prove me wrong in a session that is not related to hidden trauma, I'll give you the session for free. I'm that confident about it. I mean, that's like it's always rooted in hidden trauma. So, um, but I am a person who prefers ideas over beliefs. So that is the idea that I've had. It's backed up with all this experience, years and years worth, hundreds and hundreds of clients worth. But if there's a moment where I'm proven wrong, then hey, it's just an idea and I can change my idea. I can be proven wrong. I love learning new stuff. If you can prove me wrong in a session, totally give you your money back. All right. So the that modern day inquisition that I had was still, even though it was rooted in the past, it was still unresolved trauma. So it was unresolved trauma, came forward into this lifetime. The world complied with what needed to happen in order for me to clear that. I didn't clear it. So it really get me, like I was stuck. I couldn't move forward, even though I took all this Reiki training and, you know, went on to become I worked with my mentor for a year, honed my clairvoyant skills, honed my medical intuitive skills, and then boom, door closed, slammed in my face. Couldn't do the work. Weird stuff happened, scary things. It was just creepy. It was like, nope, all these nopes were happening. So if you're running into that, like you've done all this training, you're ready to step out there and doors keep getting slammed in your face, I swear to you, the root of that is hidden trauma from either past lives, ancestral, or both. Maybe wrapped up in trauma from this lifetime. And, sometimes trauma is really complex. It's neglect. It's a parent with narcissism. It's, some long-term abuse. Yeah, those kinds of things can really mask the hidden roots because you're so focused on what happened in this lifetime and trying to clean that up in this lifetime. But for those of you that have been going to therapy for, years and years and years to try and heal either a neglectful childhood, a narcissistic parent influence, many years of childhood sexual abuse or some other kind of abuse, some other kind of trauma from childhood, and you've focused and focused and focused on that, and it still is bogging you down and getting you in your way, it's very, very likely that there is a root in either ancestral, DNA generated, or past life trauma that was similar enough that when you were born into this, you were susceptible. This is why in some families with a narcissistic parent, one sibling is like, yeah, whatever, no big deal. The other sibling is like, oh my God, that parent totally ruined my life. Or you're born into a family, your sibling didn't get sexually abused, you did. Why? Why? It's the root. The root is hidden trauma. It generates an energy alignment that attracts like energy. It's not to torture you, believe it or not. It's really to get that shit resolved. It's to show up and say, this is what needs to be healed. And maybe there were many past lifetimes of sexual abuse. I myself have had that. I had the most wonderful parents in the world. We went to Mexico and, the universe conspired to putting me in the same situation with a sexual abuser. And, I was molested. Like my parents were, you know, and after I discovered that, I was like, okay, well, I was just molested. That's not that big of a deal, blah, blah, blah. I made all kinds of excuses of why I shouldn't, you know, feel like that was traumatic. But the truth is that set a pattern in place. I was 8 years old. That set a pattern in place where I ran from every relationship that I was ever in. Everyone. Everyone. There was only one time that I had a boyfriend break up with me, and that was after I cleared the trauma. Yeah. Because the way I got away from that abuser was I ran. So it set that pattern in place. The thing is that that had a huge impact on my life. Huge, massive. And it was just one event. It was just, I wasn't even raped. Like, listen to me. This is what women do. We downplay our trauma. We don't even realize that we've had trauma because women have, been having traumatic experiences for thousands of years. And so we're always comparing, oh, it's not as bad as her trauma. Oh, at least that didn't happen. And we downplay our experiences and make it so it's like, yeah, I can withstand that. That's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. It's a huge deal. Huge. And it's okay to see it as a big deal. It's just that because there's so much trauma stacked up on top and on top and on top and on top and on top, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, that when something happens, like, I that was a buried memory, by the way. I didn't even remember about that until I was in my 20s, late teens, early 20s. Um, and I remembered it and I was like, okay, that happened. But for most women to like really look at that and be like, wow, yeah, that was super traumatic, that would make all the traumas be super traumatic. And because we have so much stacked, the whole Me Too movement is proof that women have been withstanding this kind of, you know, blase, normalized abuse for so long that we don't even think of it as abuse anymore. Or, generationally, we didn't. We were just like, oh, men were boys will be boys, you know? Um, they're given a pass. But we don't have to be in that zone of belief anymore. And ripping out that one huge root that's connected through past lifetimes, through genetic inheritance, pulling that out through space, through time, through all dimensions, all known and unknown universes, in all realities, all timelines, and all lifetimes. Boom. That's the key to really releasing whatever is blocking you from shining your full light, using the incredible, valuable, powerful voice that you were given, that you were born with, that your soul has, that your soul resonates with. It's the key to freeing your soul signature. Yeah. And really stepping into whatever that soul purpose is. And if you're a light worker, you know what I'm talking about. That deep calling for being a healer. And if you're in a relationship that's toxic, I have to ask you, is it really living up to your soul purpose to serve one person who will never, ever be healed? no matter how hard you try? Or is it okay to recognize that that's not your job in a relationship to be that healer, and you will be serving your higher purpose much more fully if you release yourself from that relationship in order to share your gifts with people who can actually receive them? That's my question. Check that out. If you're not in a toxic relationship, yay you! Yay you! Yay you! Okay. All right. So, where are you right now? Where are you as far as, being drained? Aw, thanks, Amy, for all your comments. Hello, Nina. I'm so glad you're here. Where are you right now with how drained you are? Like, can you follow the root? Identify what's draining your energy. If it's a relationship, it's a, you know, for me, I was just in this group program and I was like, wow, this is super not working for me. I'm done here. I let that go. And now, wow, I have so much more energy. That was really draining my energy. And if I followed the root of that, it was rooted in fear. Whoa. Fear is not, fear is connected to deeper trauma. Whoa, that stuff is so insidious. It really runs in the background and causes us to make all kinds of decisions that we wouldn't normally make. So, if you follow the root back and is connected to blame, shame, guilt, or fear, there's a problem there. Whatever it is that feels like, oh, it's really exhausting. I'm really stressing out about XYZ. If you're really stressing out about XYZ, relationship, work, whatever it is, you're really stressing out about that. Follow the root of what the stress is back and see if you can identify if it's blame, shame, guilt, or fear. If it's none of those, see if you can follow the root back, and does it go to something, or does it just disappear like there's nothing there? That is a really clear indication that it moves into past life or ancestral. If you're connecting into blame, shame, guilt, or fear, that's usually rooted somewhere in this lifetime, and that usually has a root into past lives. So, yeah, anything that's causing stress in your life, peeling it back until you identify exactly what it is that's stressing you out about that, and identifying the feeling that you're having that's underneath just the surface stress. What is that feeling that you're having underneath there? For me, the reason that I had to quit the program is because the underlying feeling was fear. Everything about the program was causing fear, and also causing, because there was all this stuff around, well, if you don't do this, if you don't do it right now, if you don't do it this way, this is the only way to do it. If you don't do it this way, if you don't do it right now, then, terrible things are going to happen. You're not going to get this, that, or the other thing. Fear-based. Whoa, not how I like to roll. Mm-mm. So, yeah. And very sensational, like lots of sensationalism. Not into that at all. So anyway, that was a huge load off my plate. Really glad I'm done with that. So once you get, like I said with my story, that giant energy cord was attached to me, and it doubled down on all of the past life inquisition, persecution, all of the ancestral needing to hide, needing to, diminish your gifts so that other people don't find out, so that you don't get in trouble, quote unquote. So that just doubled that down, hid my light for another, 10 years. And then I did all the Reiki training, hid it again because it was still unresolved. And finally, I got that energy cord cut, pulled, healed, and did all the work to remove. So it energetically removed the vibrational alignment to all of the ancestral and all of the past life like energy. Like energy attracts like energy. So finally got all that cleaned up, and boom, here we are 9 years later. Yay! Totally visible. If you're struggling with visibility, yeah, there's a need to hide somewhere in there. Okay. So when you follow that route back, if you can't find the end, if you feel like, okay, there's some hidden trauma there, need to get that worked out, that's when you can click on the link in my in the description here and connect with me with a free chat. If you've already had a free chat, we've already connected and talked about stuff, go ahead and reach out to me via text message. You should have my phone number by now. If you don't, you can email me, jennyclairvoyant@gmail.com, and let's set up a session and get to work on something specific. If you've got something specific in mind, if you're coming up and you're like, ooh, these are the places where I really have stress in my life, I've been able to follow this route, follow that route, follow this route, and it's like I can't get past this blockage right here. Like that's as far as I can get. Can you help me? And I'm like, yep, we can do that. And the great thing is that the way that I always work is from a teacher standpoint because I love to teach. That's why I do these free classes, because I love to teach. I love to share knowledge. It's really important. And I think that everybody can learn from each other. During sessions, I'm learning from you because I'm experiencing new visions, new experiences, and I always invite a co-creative process into every session so that you're learning as you're healing. It's really important. And then you get to bring that information forward into the sessions that you do for others, into the healing that you do for others. Okay, so choose one thing that is really stressing you out right now. Just focus in on one thing that's really causing a lot of stress in your life, that's creating breakdown in all the different areas of your life: family, home, cleanliness, organization, happiness, joyfulness, inspiration, whatever that is. Like really focus in on the thing that's really bogging you down right now, and imagine what it would be like to let go of that, especially if you didn't have the fear, fear, shame, guilt. What was the other one? Oh yeah, blame. Big, 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 big red flag. Even if it's self-blame. Blame is a huge one because as soon as you blame, even when you self-blame, you're giving your power away. That drains your power faster than anything else, is blame. So we can definitely get that cleared up. Find where fear is driving your actions. Locate that sensation of fear that's underneath all of the feelings of have to, should, need, what is it that feels like fear? Identify that fear. And then there are some very specific ways that we can follow that route into past lives, into your genetic ancestry, whatever it is, wherever those roots are. Pull those out, close that up, and Bob's your uncle. So yeah, click on that link to the free chat or go ahead and reach out to me, either texting or email. I would really love to get together. Right now, obviously, there's still the flash sale going on for a few more days. That ends on the solstice on the 21st. And also, I'm going to be having a special solstice celebration on the 21st, which I'm going to announce probably tomorrow. Um, anyway, yeah, you have any questions, reach out to me. I'd be happy to answer them. Totally adore you. I'm so glad that you are able to come live, and I'm so glad for those who are able to watch the replay. Beautiful, beautiful day, and have a lovely weekend. Kiss, kiss, hug, hug. I'll see you next time.